So, so Luna,
I don't
first,
know. I like your red phone.
thank you. Yeah, that's like my emergency phone. I need to call.
It's like a
You
bad
know,
phone.
I wanted to talk to you about because I mean I know we got to see you for a period here in the Powerverse, which is like the new uh, hood MCU kind of so to speak. But I mean, we also got to see a lot of you in Dexter, a lot of you in in New York Undercover, and I just feel like you've done a lot of uh, crime story TV, and that you should be kind of honored for all the projects that you've been able to put in. Um, how do you feel about the change in times from when you was doing the series New York Undercover to now, and how streaming services has changed? Just as a actor, like how has the landscape changed for you in these projects?
Well, I mean, for me as an actor, there definitely more opportunities, right? Because like when New York Undercover came out, it was like, whoa, we've never seen this before, right? This show with these two leads, one's Latino, one's African American, and the girl comes in and they're heroes, right? It was not the usual primetime show that we saw. And I think that we see a lot more of that now. I mean,
Yeah,
a lot more, and all different types of genres. So that's a really great thing. And with streaming and all of that, there's so many more opportunities for actors. Um, I mean, you can sometimes people will say something like, whatever happened to that actor? Or what? And I'm like, they're somewhere. They could be anywhere. There's so many streaming services that you never know. You'll hear that somebody that you haven't seen in 10 years has been working for a couple of years on this show or something. In some ways, it's like I feel I don't want to say that there's too much content, because of course we want to work, right, as actors. But I think it's hard sometimes to land on something when it's like an embarrassment of riches, sort of.
yeah. And I was first introduced to you with I Like It Like That. And I know you did Cosby Mysteries after that before New York
Mhm.
Undercover. But you know what many people don't ever kind of acknowledge is that Andre Harrell was a big part of New York Undercover, and that Dick Wolf, who we all know for all the Law and Orders, kind of like cut his teeth in a long running series with New York Undercover. Like how monumental was that series? I mean, it was different. I always remember how it started with this music montage and showing the stuff. Like how important was that series to laying the groundwork for even now Power Ghost and everything else?
I mean, it was really unique for all those reasons that you said, right? And it was the #1 show in Black and Latino households for the first 3 seasons before it became something else that nobody watched for half a season and then ultimately was canceled. Uh, I mean, you never saw this. You never saw, a, a father with his son. He's a cop, but he's got this whole life, right? His fiance was a lawyer, was like in a different world, and they were trying to sort of make it work. You have that was JC. You have Eddie, who's got his father, who's a good man, a recovering addict, and he's a cop. They're all like, it's really very complex, fully realized characters. And I think that was something that people were starving for, really needed, at the time. And for that alone, it was groundbreaking. And then all of the music, that component of the music video in the beginning to tell the story, and then Natalie's, which we had I mean, it's unbelievable the amount of people who came through Natalie's. And that was one of the best parts of the show to me. And that was it was an honor to have those artists. And I think they felt that it was an honor to be part of the show, something that was groundbreaking. And I think it's laid, it was really the blueprint for a lot of stuff that we're seeing now.
I know it says that you're born in Brooklyn and live or resided in Queens or grew up in Queens. But you know, just as somebody else that was born in BK, like which one do you really claim? Do you? I mean, do you really claim? Are you bipolar? Do you claim both of them? Are you a Brooklyn girl or a Queens girl? What's going
You
on?
know, sometimes I feel really Brooklyn, but the truth is, I'm a beach girl. I'm Caribbean. So Rockaway Beach, which is in Queens, the beach is right there. And that's what I grew up with. We went to the beach every day when the weather was reasonable. I mean, I'm one of 8. So my mom, it was like, you know, vamos pa la playa. We're going to the beach. After school, we went to the beach, and the weekends, the whole family would come. So I'm pretty hardcore Rockaway Beach, which is Queens.
And speaking of the difference and changes, I mean, I know that you know that New York Undercover was in the culture, and that Dexter was talked about a lot. But being in the Powerverse is very heavily social media trending. It's in Black Twitter. People talk about it all the time. How's the effect of having a show that you see? I don't know how much you monitor this stuff, but that you see is like so much a part of like this social media culture, and people are talking about it, and talking about the leaks, or talking about whatever every week with this show, and you could like kind of monitor it. Whereas as an actor, like before, you might not have been able to see what the world was thinking about it.
Okay, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm stuck in time. I'm not that person that's on social media. I post sometimes, but as far as being aware of the chatter, like on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, I'm not, I just don't ever really see it. I'm not on those things. I'm on Instagram, because I love taking pictures, but what I get more is like an energy about it, believe it or not. And I can feel the excitement about it and what's happening. And actually seeing the episodes, like when I saw the episode where the Castillos are, you know, taken out, that really blew me away. It really did. And I could feel the impact that I think it's going to have. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's a much more visceral thing for me, you know, watching the show.
And also rewinding back, I know that you know Bill Cosby personally has had all his personal problems, and he's a fallen star. But there's been so many people that either on the Cosby Show or you with Cosby Mysteries. I spoke to Mark Hamill yesterday. He was on the Bill Cosby Show first. That was his first thing. Like how important was like all you know all those things that open up these doors for actors that we're seeing you know years and decades later for that era that all of these shows that was created um, with you know I mean like how important was you do you think that just that as a creator was that to all of these actors that we see now today?
So are you asking how important the shows then at that time were that
I mean that
influence the actors that are out there now?
You know, Bill Cosby, away from his
Right.
personal accusations and convictions and everything else that happened, like just those shows that, like, you know, it's just you know weird. I spoke to Mark Hamill yesterday. He talked about the Bill Cosby Show, and I know that you did. I Like It Like That before the Cosby Mysteries, but that was like one of your first projects. And it's just interesting to see so many great actors that we are seeing today, you know, started in this kind of Cosby sphere or whatever. You know, just how important was those productions to, you know, laying the groundwork and opening doors for so many actors today.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny, I hadn't thought about the Cosby Mysteries in such a long, I mean, I thought about it obviously when all this stuff was going on, but that's an interesting question because I do remember just being in awe, being on set, working with him. It was my first real experience of working with such a big star and somebody who had created at this point already such a body of work and what we already, you know, then it was already a legacy that he was leaving. It was an honor, honestly, to be on the show at that point and just be part of something, thinking, wow, this is like a genuine star. And he was very he was very generous, working on the show. And I really appreciated that, because he was somebody that I looked up to. And I think at that time, all of these shows, we needed all of the representation that we could find. It's really what kept us going. They're like stepping stones, to keep moving on the path of being a creative and just being an artist, in this business. So I'm actually, proud of all the shows that I did back then, because they all led to this now. And
Yeah.
so many people now, so many opportunities, so many wonderful actors. It's like, wow, it's really something.
And aside from Power, you also have the sequel to In the Spider-Verse coming out. And all these years, I don't see any other animations on your in your resume, but you picked one of my what is one of my favorite Marvel movies, period. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse to be a part of. Like, how does it feel to like be a part of that, be a part of Power? Like, all these things are like kind of like the biggest things going on in this part of the summer right now. Everybody's talking about Power, everybody's excited about Into the Spider-Verse. But how does it feel to be like just in this mix and doing your thing and being present in this era?
It feels so good. It feels really good, because sometimes you don't think about it in those terms when you get the gig. It's just like, wow, this is really cool. And when they asked me, oh, do you want to do something with Mary J? I was like, what? Yes. That was like a no-brainer. And for that to grow into something else was just so exciting, And Spider-Man, it was kind of the same thing. They were like, oh, Miles Morales. And I was like, wow, an Afro-Latino Spider-Man, voy pa allá. Yeah, I'm in, like, of course. So it's a really nice surge of energy, and all of it coming out at the same time in the summer is really cool. That's cool.
Well, we're sorry to see your end and the Powerverse, but we're glad to have you within the series. And the way this thing splinter off, who knows? They might do like a whole other chapter about you and tell your backstory, one day. So we might not see the end of you now, even though it's the end of this chapter of it. And thank you for your time and everything. I loved you in Dexter. I loved you in New York Undercover. Like I can't get over that. And I love you in the Spider-Verse. So all the stuff you got coming out, I'm gonna claim you for Brooklyn. And I'm gonna
all right,
keep Far Rockaway, and you'll always be my homie. I appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, thank you.